Welcome to Wellness Munch. Today we are going to discuss on the Indian diet for dialysis patient. Okay, I know this is an area which hardly people talk about, but trust me, with some of my personal experience as well, I know how hard is the time when you have some renal patient at home, and managing a renal patient diet is quite a task. Basically this is difficult from the patient's front as well as from the nutritionist front, because it might look very easy, but it is not, because every day it depends on the parameters, because whatever the diet you will be suggesting or as a patient you will be consuming, it is completely based on your parameters. So the day's parameter decide what you are actually allowed to eat or not. But let's try to make it simple as possible, so that at least you can understand what are the ground rule and how you can plan and how you can make little bit of tweak as on needed, right? Dialysis is a mechanism, an artificial way to purify your blood. It is an artificial way to clean your blood from the chemicals, from the excess fluid and everything. But because when this dialysis happen, it doesn't only eliminate the toxin and the chemicals and the extra fluid from your blood, but at the same time it also eliminate lot of nutrients, like lot of protein loss, vitamin, minerals, especially vitamin B complex, like thiamine, riboflavin, folic acid, all these vitamins, then vitamin D, vitamin C, all that losses also takes place. A good amount of, a considerable amount of protein also gets eliminated during this course of dialysis. So every time you are on dialysis, you are actually losing some of the good nutrients as well. That is the reason diet and nutrition is extremely important, very powerful to support that patient. He has lack of appetite, he has hormonal imbalance, he has electrolyte imbalance, basically nothing is in place, right? And he has inflammation. So overall the situation is very bad. The patient needs to eat a lot of food, but he cannot. Understand one thing, even though the patient is not in a position to eat well, they need nutrition. So come what may, we got to figure out some way to feed the patient. So starting with energy, generally we have seen like a renal patient who is on dialysis, as per the standards suggest, they need 30 to 35 calorie per kg body weight per day. So for example, if it's 60 kilo, if someone who is weighing 60 kilo today, he will probably need an 1800 calorie diet, and that's a lot considering the patient's condition and his appetite. Like, how will you provide so much of food to that person? That is the major struggle. Now, so energy is very important, because your body is in the catabolic phase. So basically there's a lot of distraction happening inside your body, and your energy requirement is increasing in leaps and bounds. But on the contrast, you have very limited amount of food that the patient may be able to consume. Now, where will you get this much of energy? 50 to 60% of this energy should come from carbohydrate rich food. What are the carbs that is safe? White rice is the safest option and safest carbohydrate option a renal patient can have. Plus, apart from that, suji is very good choice. Buckwheat like kuttu, that is very good. Then puffed rice is a good choice. So all these couple of items which are there, which are very good for the patients to support. Now talking about dalia or other like flaked rice, poha or jawar or corn, all these things are also a good option. But always we need to remember one thing, that the diet should not be very high on potassium or on phosphorus or on sodium. So these three are the basic constraint of a renal diet, that come what may, whatever the food you are giving, make sure it has to be low on potassium, low on phosphorus and low on sodium. Alright, so considering all these factors, white rice, buckwheat or puffed rice or suji, these are the safest option. Now you can ask me like, okay fine, how long one patient can eat only these four variety, right? No, they can technically eat, dalia and poha and oats, corn, all these things as well. But it has to be limited. It has to be limited as in maybe once a week is fine, but not more than that, okay? Because we cannot afford to increase the potassium load on the system. How will you distribute? You can make the patient eat for 4 times, like breakfast, lunch, evening snack or dinner. You must be wondering like, okay, fine, it's a diabetic patient, because half of the renal patients are diabetic. Now, how come a diabetic patient have white rice? Is it safe? Yes, it is. Because understand one thing, no one in India eat only rice, okay? So don't go by the narrow view of only looking at the glycemic index. It tells you nothing, because the moment you mix rice with dal or with sabji or with ghee or maybe with chicken, mutton or fish, egg, anything, any other food, the combination of the final food actually has very low amount of glycemic index. It becomes balanced, okay? So don't worry at all like how can I give a high glycemic index wala food like white rice to a diabetic patient who is also under dialysis. So no worries about it. Yes, of course, moderation is the key, and make sure the combination is well. After carbohydrate, let's discuss about fat. Generally, the recommendation is 25 to 35% of the total calorie should come from fat. 1 gram of carbs will give you 4 calorie, but 1 gram of fat will give you 9 calorie, right? And the patient is not really in a position to eat a lot. That means just if you able to push the good fat somehow, you will be able to push so much of calorie in his body, so that it will give him the strength that probably we are looking for. When we talk about fat, that means the patient need saturated fat, the patient need a good considerable amount of monounsaturated fatty acid, polyunsaturated fatty acid, omega-3 and omega-6, handful of nuts and seeds, 3 tablespoon of cooking oil, any unrefined mustard oil or peanut oil or coconut oil, sesame oil is fine, and of course a spoonful of ghee with lunch or dinner. If you can give this, it will be covering all the requirement that basically your body is looking for. Now after fat, let's talk about protein, because there's a major shift in protein, okay? When the patient was not on dialysis, the patient's protein requirement was pretty less, because it was roughly 0.5 to 0.6 gram per kg body weight. But the moment patient is having dialysis, the protein requirement increase up to 1.2 to 1.4 gram per kg body weight. So if we are talking about a patient who is 60 kilo weight, he will probably need 72 to 78 gram of protein per day. Now supplying this protein is a pretty daunting task. Why? Because most of the protein, the recommendation suggests that like half of the protein, like 50% of this protein should come from high biological value protein. Now what is high biological value protein? That means the animal protein, which actually will give you enough protein after absorption, okay? The quality of protein is good. Now what are the animal proteins are also very rich in phosphorus. Now what do? Because you cannot give high phosphorus containing food, and on the other hand you got to give the patient good amount of high quality protein. So there is again a conflict. So that's why I always tell there is ifs and buts in every single sentence when we are planning a diet for the renal patient, okay? Now let's decide let's figure out what are the safest option that we have for the protein, right? Milk is absolutely safe, okay? So be it cow's milk, be it goat milk or buffalo milk, curd, these are very, very safe options. So good for the vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian. Green peas are very, very safe, okay? Very safe. So green peas is another very good choice. Then if you're a non-vegetarian, you can have mutton, okay? The lean mutton, not the the fatty one. So basically the lean mutton is something which, the stew and all you may consider. Apart from that, there are certain fish which are very, very good for this kind of, this condition, which are pretty less on phosphorus content, but contain very good quality of protein. So that is also a very, very good choice. Like for example, the fish like bata, small crab, or rohu, or sarputi, or shoal, or tangra. These are the fish which one can give without any fear. All right, so these are the options that you have. Now let's talk about, you must be thinking, okay fine, these are, most of them are for non-vegetarian. What about what are the options for a vegetarian diet? Because only green peas and milk was mentioned, right? Now see, the dal, the common dal that we consume on a daily basis, for example, chana dal, or black gram, or moong dal, or maybe masoor dal, or maybe boiled soybean, all these things, they are also safe, though they comes under medium, like moderately rich in phosphorus, but still that can be given. Why? Because the moment you cook, the moment you soak them, the moment you cook them, most of the potassium problem just goes off. Firstly, dal is something which are supposed to be eaten well cooked, right? So what is the best way to cook it, especially for the renal patient? Soak them as long as possible with excess water, and after that discard the water, cook them well, so that the potassium concentration gets reduced, number one. Number two, then how will you treat the phosphorus? See, the phosphorus that is present in the plant protein, this is not that great in bioavailability, because they hardly get available in our body, which is in the form of phytate, right? Phytate itself is an anti-nutritional factor. So it has been seen hardly 20 to 40% of phytate that is going to be absorbed in your body, which is fine, your body can handle that. So even if you are a vegetarian and dal comes under medium, moderately rich in potassium and phosphorus, it is still a good choice. So if you're a vegetarian, do not be scared of having dal. You can have moong dal, you can have masoor dal, you can have boiled soybean or chana dal. That's fine, okay? So you can still have it, but just the only thing, you got to cook it well, you got to soak it really well and cook it really well, okay? Then it is absolutely safe for your body. So these are the protein choices that one must consider. Now let's talk about fiber. Now why fiber is important? Because if you have ever handled a renal patient, if you have any renal patient at home, half of the time they complain of constipation, okay? And if the person is on peritoneal dialysis, then constipation is something which is inevitable, like it will happen. You cannot afford constipation when you have any kind of renal problem. Understand one thing, since your kidney is not working, so all the toxins are getting piled up in your body, right? And all the toxins get eliminated from your body using either urine or stool or sweat, right? These are the three major pathway which we use to eliminate all the toxins. Now urine is something which has been compromised. Now if stool is also compromised, then you are at a bigger risk, okay? So that is the reason you cannot take this risk, and you got to clear your stomach every single day. And that's how fiber comes with a great role, right? Be it soluble fiber, be it insoluble fiber, you need them both. So you got to have a lot of vegetables and fruits and dal and nuts and seeds, so that you get ample amount of fiber and your body is cleaned every single day as much as possible, right? So fiber is something you cannot afford to avoid, okay? Now after fiber, you must be thinking, how can I have vegetables? Because vegetables, half of the vegetables and half of the fruits are very high in potassium. Again, potassium is a biggest challenge for renal diet, But at the same time, if you're treating the vegetables and fruits well, you can largely get rid of this problem. Let me tell you first with the vegetable one. Always peel them well, then chop them in smallest possible pieces, then use 2:1 ratio water, like 2 part of water with 1 part of vegetables. Soak them for a good time, wash them thoroughly 3 to 4 times, then boil them with that excess water twice. Okay, twice. Boil them twice. So basically boil them first, discard the water, then again put some water, again boil them, and then cook it. By the time you will take it to cooking, it will be a mashy, absolutely mashed. Hardly there will be any vegetable taste, like vegetable taste will be left. But what to do? We got to do it, because understand one thing, food is not food. Food is a kind of a medicine especially for renal patient. It's for everybody, but for renal patient it is even more and more important. Okay, so you got to do this to leach out the potassium. After that, all right, let's discuss about vitamins. Now, how will you treat, because as I mentioned earlier, the moment a patient is taking dialysis regularly, every time in every dialysis sitting, the person is going to lose certain amount of protein, certain amount of vitamins, especially B complex vitamins like vitamin B1, B2, folic acid, B6, a sort of vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E. So basically all possible vitamin loss generally takes place, especially with both hemodialysis as well as with peritoneal dialysis. You got to consume good amount of food in order to get all these vitamins that you have already lost. You got to replenish them. So good amount of vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, cereal, protein, you got to eat. Okay, the very sad part of renal diet is most of the renal patient ultimately slips into protein energy malnutrition. All right, every possible effort needs to be made to prevent happening this kind of malnutrition. Now after that, let's talk about mineral. And mineral is something which is extremely important, especially for renal diet. As I have mentioned, sodium, potassium, phosphorus and calcium, these 4 are the minerals which are under focus for renal patient. Let's start with the sodium first. Sodium, what happened? You are always tend to have high sodium in your body. There are times when there will be hyponatremia as well, like low sodium content. For that reason only, renal patient on dialysis needs to be on constant check about phosphorus, calcium in the body. They needs to be on regular monitoring. Okay, so sodium, if generally the sodium starts depositing and then hypernatremia takes place, then what do you do? How do you handle it? So the guidelines suggest you need to have only 2 gram of sodium per day. 2 gram. Now what does that mean? 2 gram means what? 2 gram of sodium means the common salt has to be only 1 tablespoon, because we know the common salt is nothing but sodium chloride. So if you are taking 1 teaspoon of sodium chloride, common salt, that is generally going to give you 2 gram of sodium. Now 2 gram of sodium, like 1 teaspoon of salt, is nothing. How come one can sustain full of salt? It is next to impossible, right? Plus you must be arguing with me that you're suggesting to give more and more food to the patient, but you're not giving salt. Then how come the patient will be able to manage the situation? Rightly so. What we have seen that first of all, the patient will have lack of appetite. Then if the food is so tasteless, food is completely saltless, who will willing to eat, right? It's not possible humanly. Now there's a will, there's a way. Okay, you can fix this problem as well. How? First thing first, cook all the food for the patient without salt. Okay, yes, I repeat, do not use any salt while you are cooking. Now you have the ration of 1 teaspoon of salt, divided into 2. One portion you'll be eating during your lunch and one portion for dinner. And try to prepare some menu for breakfast and evening snack which doesn't need salt. Okay, so some porridge kind of a thing where you can still avoid salt. So you have divided it into 2 parts to have with lunch and dinner. Now how will you eat it? Take a toothpick. Okay, take a toothpick, put the blunt part of the toothpick, dip it in the salt. Okay, the portion of salt that is allowed for lunch, dip it, and then touch the toothpick in both the side of your tongue. So basically, if the tongue is like, okay, these 2 sides, touch it in these 2 sides and then take a spoon of food. You'll be amazed to see when you touch salt, a pinch of salt, like you are just dipping it into salt and then you are just touching it in the both sides. And then if you have food, you will not need the feeling of no salt in the food anymore. Alright, so every time, every spoon you are having, you got to do this, and that's why the salt has been kept. So this is the trick which has been worked wonders with many patients. So if you have any renal patient at home, do try this hack. This really work. Okay, this is one of the best way to control your salt consumption. All right, so what will happen, you'll be able to control your salt consumption, and at the same time you'll be able to finish the food. So try this hack. Plus, apart from this, you can use tamarind paste in the food while cooking, so that it gives a little bit of salty taste in the food. So that is also very important. Now this is about sodium. Now let's talk about potassium. Though we have already explained how to leach out potassium and all, but only remember that there are list of vegetables and list of fruits which are allowed and which are not allowed and which are to be limited for the renal patient. I'm going to give a link of a blog where all these detailed informations are given. So you can just follow that chart and you can pick the food that is safe for you right now. So potassium is something you can easily treat potassium with using excess water and using the usual cooking method. For fruits, you can't do that, right? So for fruits, you got to stick to the fruits which are having very low amount of potassium. Okay, so that means what are the fruits which are available? Guava is a wonderful choice. Then apple, ripe banana, grapes, okay, ripe papaya, pear, pineapple. These are good choices for low potassium fruit. Okay, so fruits is something you cannot treat, so you make sure that you choose the low potassium content fruit only. Okay, after potassium, next comes what? Next comes phosphorus. Now phosphorus is something, see, if there's an animal protein, the phosphorus content will be high because the bioavailability of phosphorus is very high with the animal protein. Like it has been seen 40% to 60% of phosphorus present in the animal protein get absorbed in your body. Okay, so you got to be careful picking the animal protein. And with the plant version, as I have mentioned already earlier, the bioavailability is pretty low. So if you're cooking that well, it's okay, it's fine. But there is a third source of phosphorus, that is additives and preservatives. So hear me out very carefully. If you have renal patient at home, no matter what, you got to avoid all kind of processed and ultra processed food for them. That means no biscuit, no sauce, no seasoning, no spread, no instant food like instant noodles, instant pasta, instant soup, instant fruit juice, nothing. No box to be opened. Okay, any food which you just got to open and you can have it, or maybe you just open and within 2 minutes you can have it. Don't have that, because the foods, all these foods contain good amount of preservatives and additives, and generally additives and preservatives contain phosphorus. Not only that, plus these foods contain huge amount of sodium. You know, you cannot afford sodium as well, right? Plus they contain refined sugar. Refined sugar is something again which is very, very threatening for a renal patient, because half of the patients are diabetic. Even if you are not a diabetic, simple sugar is something which are to be avoided. So there is no way you can have any kind of processed food if you have, you know, any kind of renal problem and you are on dialysis. Okay, so make sure you remember that. Apart from that, calcium, yes, calcium is something, you know, especially with the patient who are on peritoneal dialysis, what we see, they develop you know, hypocalcemia. So basically their calcium level drops. Why? Because not only you know, calcium level, it has been seen that there's a considerable loss of vitamin D as well. So they might need supplements, and you know, it will be definitely detected while doing the regular monitoring, regular routine checkup, blood checkup. So based on that, doctor will definitely give you some suggestion how to correct it. But from the dietary part, as long as try to feed them more sesame seed, more and more milk based food, okay, to ensure that the calcium is going. So basically, if the diet is balanced, you can pretty much handle the situation, okay. And of course the vitamin D supplementation is also needed if that is suggested at all. Now the last point, fluid. You know, they really, it's pathetic to say that how they crave for water and we cannot give them. There's always a chance of high blood pressure, circulatory overload, and that is the reason fluid restrictions is a must, even if the patient is on dialysis. How to determine the fluid, how much of fluid the person is going to take? It depends on many things. It depends on the body weight, it depends on the blood pressure, it depends on the urinal you know, output. If the patient is on peritoneal dialysis, then the dialysis output also, you know, incites. So fluid is a big trouble. Water has to be given very, very mindfully, because half of the time it is very, very restricted. Now, most of the patients struggle to meet the thirst. How to curb the thirst? First thing first, always ask the patient, you know, if you have anybody at home, tell them to brush their teeth frequently, okay. That's a wonderful way to control your thirst. Brush the teeth frequently, wash your mouth with mouthwash. Maybe you can chew some chewing gum, and on top you can have frozen grapes, okay. Just keep grapes in the deep freezer, take one and just put it in the mouth, okay. So frozen grapes also helps to curb the thirst a lot. So these are the key salient features of a diet for the patient, for the Indian patients who are suffering or who are actually going through dialysis regularly. I hope the information was useful. If it was, you have the like button, so please hit the like button. All right, we will be back soon with some other interesting topic. Till then, stay happily healthy. If you have any questions, use the comment section to ask me that, okay. I'll be happy to help you. All right, stay happily healthy. Bye bye.